Hi, in this tutorial I'll be showing you how to create a double exposure effect in Adobe Photoshop Pro. The double exposure effect was originally used by photographers by exposing different backgrounds for a certain amount of times so you can see transparency through the images, thus adding different layers to the image. With modern editing software we're now able to create the double exposure effect to a higher degree by editing the images and moving around to create a more symmetric and appropriate image. So to create double exposure, first go to Photoshop. And once you're inside Photoshop, create yourself a new canvas. Mine I set up by 2400 by 1700. I have the background set as transparent and I have it set as pixels. Go ahead and press create. And then we want to open up our images and bring them inside the Adobe Photoshop. So find your images. So here's my woman, I'm going to bring the woman in. And if it isn't already set to the canvas size, just change it by pressing Shift and dragging it by the points. And deselect it by pressing Enter. The first thing we need to do is separate the actual lady from the background. An easy method of doing this is by increasing the contrast to create the lady as a black figure on top of a white background. So to do this, we go through the different colours to find the most contrast. So if we click on blue, we can find that it creates a nice dark image on top of a white background, which is what we're looking for, meaning a higher level of contrast. So if we grab that channel, move it onto a new file to duplicate it, we've now created a separate file for us to start editing on. Once you've duplicated the layer, move over to Image, Adjustments and Levels and mess around with the brightness until the lady almost disappears. Setting the image as black as possible to create the most contrast. But try not to expose the image too much, creating the white to turn black. Now we're going to select the brush tool and go over the remaining highlights in the centre to create a truly black image. So move on to the toolbar on the left hand side, select your brush tool, move up to the top, increase the hardness, and make sure your brush is set to black, and mine is at the top. And simply go over the image and remove any highlights. Click back to the RGB channel to see the image in its original exposure, and unclick the blue copy, and then control and click blue copy, the new copy you've just created. Then move up to the top of the toolbar and press select and inverse. Then we're going to move back into the layers section, select the background and copy and paste it as a new layer. Simply, as it's highlighted, Control C and then Control V. Next we need to copy our background image and paste it into the Photoshop document. So go to File Location, find the background image and drag it onto Photoshop. Then change its size so it fits your canvas. So remember again, hold down Shift to keep it in proportion as you're changing its angles. Then once you have its proportion size, deselect it by pressing Enter or Control D. Next we'll create a layer mask between the two images. To do so, Command and click or Control and click the thumbnail of the layer 1, then move down to the bottom and press Layer Mask. Then we can unlink both the images by clicking the link there. Then we need to select the background layer out of the mask by clicking the thumbnail. Then move up to Edit, Transform and Scale. This step allows us to move the background image to place it in a more appropriate position. Simply do this by dragging the background image until it's in the position you prefer it. Once you have it in the position you prefer, simply press Enter or Ctrl and D. So next we're going to adjust the saturation of image layer 1. So to do this, select layer 1, move up to Image, Adjustments, and Desaturate. And to view it, you can press the eyes so we can see a better picture of it. As we can see, it's black and white now. Now we can go ahead and view the other images back on top of each other. Still have layer 1 selected, move up to normal, and you want to select multiply. Next we're going to add saturation to layer 1, so to do this, select layer 1, press Ctrl J to duplicate it. Alternatively, you could drag the layer down to the new file just there to duplicate it. Now select your copy, move up to Image, Adjustments, and Desaturate. And then move on to the drop down list here, click the arrow and move it to multiply. And move it to the top of your layer stack. Next we're going to set up a blending mask of the image by dissolving the majority of the image of the lady and allowing the exposure of the background to come through. To do this, press blending mask. You want to grab yourself a large soft brush and set it as black. And move around the edges of the image to expose the background, avoiding the facial features so they can still be prominent. If you create any errors whilst going over the image, you can press X to revert to white, and that allows you to bring back in the colour you originally placed. Alternatively, you can move up to the history tool up here and drag the brush icon or your last movement into the bin to delete it. Next we're going to change the opacity of the layer to make the features just subtly coming through on top of the landscape. We're going to move it down to around 70%. Next we need to deselect the layer mask by pressing Ctrl D and go onto your colour picker tool and select a colour which we're going to place into the background. Once you select a colour from your image, you're going to move onto the paint bucket tool, select it, and simply click the background to set it as that colour. And you may need to do this in different sections as there's parts to mine here. Sometimes it makes it easy to deselect the following images above it, so you can see exactly the different sections you need to fill in. And then bring back the other layers by clicking them as well. Next we're going to bring in the landscape image again and place it towards the top of the stack. So find the location of the landscape image, drag and drop it in, and make it to reach each corner again. And once you've brought in the image, I'm going to drag it to the top of the layers. Now we're going to blur out this background. To do so, move the toolbar at the top, filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. If we set the radius to 250 pixels, you'd see it thoroughly blurs out the image. And press OK. Apply another layer mask, and then we're going to erase the image or the background so we can see the original images through this. To do so, move back onto your paintbrush, ensure that black is selected, and move over the image, going around the radius to give a vignette side effect. Next we can adjust the opacity of this layer so it's barely visible, but it just sets the tone. Next we're going to increase the contrast by simply moving down to adjustments and levels, and tweak this until it fits the different levels. So next we're going to change the saturation to bring out the finer detail inside the image. So move down to the adjustments icon and select levels, and adjust this until you see greater detail. And that concludes how you create a double exposure effect inside Adobe Photoshop. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and I've been as thorough as possible. Until next time, goodbye.